Hi everyone, my name is Stephen Matthew Clark and I am the creator and the founder of the Awakening Online Exchange. I'm grateful that you've joined us to watch the recap of the January 19th Commissioner Liberty Exchange. This exchange was a historical event in the essence that no incarcerated resident has ever in history interviewed their commissioner online in front of an audience of over 100 people. This event speaks volumes to the Maine model of corrections and what Maine is doing for criminal justice and prison reform. As somebody that spent the past 18 years in the system of mass incarceration that has diligently worked to change my life, I recognize the changes and the difference that the Maine model of corrections is having on incarcerated residents' lives. As I finish up my master's degree and move forward with a PhD, one of the things that I will take with me is how these online exchanges actually can create a shift in the consciousness of incarcerated residents and the consciousness of folks that are participating in the audience. We are grateful that you have an interest in criminal justice and prison reform. We are super enthused by the fact that you want to support the work that we're doing, and we are excited to build this community. We hope if you could not make the exchange last month that you will consider making the upcoming exchanges that we have coming. We will be hosting folks such as Christopher Perrin from the UK, who's a forensic psychologist and a professor at Greenwich University. We have David DeRocher from the Other Side Academy. And we also have folks that teach different programs throughout the prison systems. I want to just say thank you very much for taking your time to be with us. Thank you so much for your interest in the work that we're doing with the Awakening Exchange. And thank you for your contributions of your presence, your contributions of your ideas, and your contribution of the wisdom that you have and bring forth in these exchanges. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the January 19th exchange with Commissioner Liberty. Have a wonderful time. Welcome. Welcome, Deb. I see you. Barry, how are you? Nice to see you today. Yvonne, Jeff, James, thank you for being here. We're going to get it started momentarily, probably in the next 10 minutes. If you'd like to, just go ahead in the chat space and put maybe where your name and maybe where you're landing, where your feet are on the ground. I'd like to kind of just see where everybody's at and where everybody's coming in from. Thank you. It's good to see everybody. Ashley, it's always good to see you. Thank you for being here with us. We're going to be getting started here momentarily. Again, folks, if you can, just go ahead in the chat space. If you want to just put where your feet are on the ground and where you're zooming in from today. Good to see everybody. Wonderful everybody's here. Really excited. It's going to be a wonderful event. We have a lot of people coming in from all over the world today. Super grateful that everybody's here. Perry, nice to see you. Matt, good to see you. Grateful that you're here today with us. Wonderful you're here. If you can, again, just go ahead and maybe put in the chat room where you're showing up today. I see people from Maine. I see people from Iowa. I see people from California, Florida, Washington. Beautiful. California, Berlin, Germany. Beautiful, Raj. How are you today? It's good that you're here. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for being here with us. Welcome, everybody. We're going to be getting started momentarily. And if you're just coming into the space, just asking that you go ahead and put into the chat room maybe where you're coming in from. Thank you. And if you remember, just if you're coming in, please keep your cameras on and your microphones off. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. It's good to see everybody today. Cape Elizabeth, Maine. John Courtney, welcome. It's nice to see you here today with us. Thank you so much for being here. Very nice to see you today. Thank you for being with us. Again, just asking if maybe you could just go ahead and put in the chat space where your feet are on the ground today and where you're zooming in from. So good to see everybody. Thank you for being with us. This is going to be a wonderful event. We have, again, people from all over the country and all over the world from many different walks of life that will be joining us. Commissioner, I see you. Thank you for being with us today. Excited for this event. Excited that you're here. And we have more people coming in. And thank you all. It's good to see everybody. Beautiful crowd of people, beautiful group of people, and many different backgrounds with us today. Everybody from the Commissioner of Corrections to we have college professors, we have law professors, we have law students, we have incarcerated individuals, we have past incarcerated experiencers. We have folks that are prison abolitionists. We have folks that are deeply, deeply involved in the system of mass incarceration. And we have folks that may just be families of folks that have been incarcerated. So we have a really interesting group of folks, and it is going to be a wonderful experience. So thank you. And if you're just coming in, maybe if you want to put it in the chat where your feet are on the ground. Thank you. South Portland, Maine. I see Oceanside, California, formerly incarcerated individual working with higher education and formerly incarcerated students. Thank you for being here. Beautiful. I see Leo's sister just arrived. Thank you for being here with us. So good to see you. David, so good that you're here. Valerie, I see you. Thank you for being here with us today. My good friend Daniel Rosen, I just seen you come in. Luke Bolton from Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome. Thank you for being here. So wonderful that you're all here with us. We're going to be getting started here momentarily in about the next 4 minutes. So beautiful that you're all here. Thank you. Thank you for the support. Sean Libby, so good to see you today, my friend. Sean Libby, just so you know, he recently debated against MIT and actually won the debate. Prison debater, did a wonderful job, and he will be debating here soon against Wake Forest University. So amazing things are happening. Amazing things are happening. It's good seeing everybody. Greg, thank you for being with us. I see you coming in. And if you're just arriving, maybe if you could put in the chat room where your feet are on the ground and where you're zooming in from. Nebraska, Alternative to Violence Program. Beautiful. Thank you for being here with us, Suzanne King. I see you. Brian, thank you for being here with us. I saw your name in the chat room. Brian is a beautiful individual that is working to really make some changes in the prison system. Grateful that you're here today with us. Thank you. Again, folks, if you want to just put in the chat room where you are zooming in from. Brother Dennis, thank you for being here with us today. I love the work that you're doing in the system of mass incarceration. Thank you so much. And thank you for your beautiful newsletter. Revolutionary Press, John Vincent, thank you for being here with us. New Haven, Vermont. Chaplain University, Greg, thank you for being here with us. Thank you so much. About 3 more minutes, we're going to get started. Just greatly appreciate everybody's attendance and appreciate everybody that's on the call with us today. Thank you. Thank you. Barry, it's always good to see you. It's always good to see your wonderful smile. Linda Scott, the Star Project, thank you for being with us today. Grateful that you're here. I don't know if you all have your screen set up. You might want to go ahead up into the view and just go ahead and put it on gallery view, maybe just to look around and see who's here with us and who's joining us. Megan Richardson, thank you for being here with us. It's good to see you. It's good to connect with you. Diane, so good to see you and connect with you. Appreciate all the emails that are coming in from each and every one of you and all the kind support for the work that we're doing here in Maine. Thank you very much. Doug Gilding Tree, it's very nice that you're here. Thank you for being here with us. Peter Katz, thank you for being here with us. I see you. James Brown, thank you for being here. Rachel from Maine. And if you want to just go ahead and put in the chat room, maybe where you're showing up, where your feet are on the ground, that would be wonderful. But one more minute, we're going to get started. Just want to say to each and every one of you, thank you for being here. You are going to witness a very special event today. Actually, we're making history here together, making history in a big way. We have a writer here in the group with us that had written for Oprah Magazine, for New York Times, and also Esquire Magazine. And there's a good chance she may be writing an article in relationship to our commissioner and this experience here at the Exchange. Rachel from Maine, it's so good to see you. Thank you for the work you're doing to support incarcerated residents with all the work we're doing. Just a gift and blessing to be with all of you. More participants are coming in, and maybe if you could just put in the chat room where your feet are on the ground and where you're showing up from. Thank you. It's good to see you all. It's good to see everybody's smiling faces. So great everybody's here with us. I see you, Jamie Gates from Belfast, Maine. Thank you for being here with us. Kelly Taylor, thank you for being here with us. I see you. Thank you for all the support you give us here at the prison system. Each and every one of us. Jessica, thank you for being with us today. April Thomas, my dear friend, she is everywhere. Thank you for being here with us today. So good to see you. See my good friend Bill Helping coming in from Meeting Brook. Thank you so much for being here with us, Bill. Many blessings, many, many blessings. Thank you all for being here. So we're going to be getting started here in the next minute or so. Just give some space for some more folks to arrive. We had 700 registrations come in. We had over 240 confirmed registrations where they confirmed that they would be here. There's about 83 people in the space, so I just want to give folks another moment to come in. Jeff Ford, again, nice seeing you. Desiree, grateful that you're here with us. Sarah, oh my gosh, I can't believe you showed. Thank you for the support and your kindness. Always good to see you. Chris Lagore, thank you for your wonderful, wonderful, wonderful teachings and everything you've done here at the prison to support us with education. Thank you. John Vincent, thank you for being here with us. Jesse, thank you. What a beautiful crowd of people we have today. People from all over the country, all over the world. Beautiful. And we are making history with this event today, folks. So thank you. Leo, thank you. I just want to say thank you for your support and thank you for your kindness with these events. If it wasn't for you, these events would not be happening. And Matt Magnuson and Commissioner Liberty, I also want to give you a special thanks before we get started. I want to thank you for the opportunity and for the flexibility to be able to put these events on and make a difference, and to be able to use the education that you've allowed us to get to be able to present and show others what's possible if the right opportunities are given to them. Beautiful. So thank you each and every one of you for being here today and taking your time to be with us. We're all learning from research that for a prison to be fully and truly restorative in a therapeutic setting, we must have in place the opportunities for prisoners to have certain sets of duties, challenges and learning opportunities. And this exchange is really a prime example of the Maine model of corrections and what Maine is doing to foster a higher level of consciousness and also to foster transformation in each and every one of us. That prison, if there was a perfect model set up, that would have to really invest in its prisoners' capacity to take responsibility for performing tasks, for meeting challenges, and for using their learning to create opportunities. And again, I think you're seeing that here with the exchange that we're putting forth. We're building a membership site. We are building a site where folks can log in to get resources for prisons, where they can learn more about the Maine model of corrections, where they can connect with each other. And I think that really speaks my ability to be able to do that, and our ability to be able to do this kind of work here in Maine speaks to our leadership that's in place and speaks to the direction that corrections is actually moving in. So if we think about if that's the prisoner's responsibility, the responsibility or task of the prison staff at every level in all departments would have to be to work with prisoners to identify their skills and to give guidance and support to actually help them restore their lives. So we would be equipped and we would be provided with an opportunity for a renewed citizenship in life away from crime. And I'm just going to keep tying it back into this particular exchange and the ability to use technology. What it's really done for my consciousness, it's connected me back to the broader society. It's given me many different contacts in my life that I never would have had. And in addition, what it's done is it's allowed me to feel humanized again. It's hard being cut off and separated from the world for so long. But because of our leadership here and the abilities to earn bachelor's, associates, master's degrees, and even a PhD, I think what's happening is there's a change in the collective consciousness in prisons, and that's actually spreading. And we're actually here today because there's a man and there's a model that is currently in place, and it's creating such a prison and environment where people can actually transition and they can change their lives. So traditionally, prisons have had around a 77% recidivism rate, which means people come back after being released within 5 to 7 years. And there's a model in Norway that they're showing within 5 years, it's dropped down to 25% because of the way they're humanizing people and treating people. And Maine is following that model. So I don't know about any of you. Is everybody on gallery view right now? Just by a show of hands, if you've been on Zoom meetings or been doing a million things this morning, could you just raise your hand? Just go ahead and raise your hand and maybe just look through the screen, because you'll see how many people have really been busy and really been active today. So what I just want to say real quickly is we've all been busy. We all really get going with our daily routines, and it becomes challenging. So what I want to offer you is I want to give you the chance and the ability to become grounded for this exchange today. I've invited a very dear friend of mine, Adair Cates. Adair Cates is a highly sought after exchange certified guide and self-mastery coach. She's a transformational leadership coach who has helped several organizations and individuals alike reach their highest potential. I've come to know Adair and her partner, John, through the exchange approach, and they've coached and supported me in my life and the trajectory that my life is actually in today. And she's also one of the things I've asked her to be here today with, actually agreed to join us to provide us with a heart math technique to start us off with. So please, without further ado, I see you up on the screen. Allow me to introduce to you Adair Cates. And Adair, I'll let you go ahead and jump in. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction, Stephen. Thank you so much for having me here. And apologies if you see a little delay in my audio and video. I'm having some Wi-Fi computer struggles. How many can relate? You've been on these Zooms, I'm sure, for the last several years, and all of us have those tech challenges sometimes that always happen at the worst darn times. But as Stephen said, I am here. And Stephen, I just want to take a moment of deep, deep gratitude and appreciation for having me here and for bringing all of these people together and for providing this container and this space that allows a conversation that can be challenging. It's paradigm shifting, and it requires all of us to think and show up differently. So really excited to share this space with all of you today. And as Stephen said, I'm a HeartMath certified guide and really passionate about helping people to, there's lots of ways to say it, but emotionally regulate, learn how to feel safer in their own bodies. How many of you agree that based on the way the world is changing and the chaos outside the world, that maybe we could tap into our hearts a tiny bit more and find a resource that's maybe underused? Yeah, thank you for that. That looked like the majority of you. So the HeartMath Institute has been around for over 30 years. There are 400 plus peer-reviewed studies on the intelligence of the heart and on what HeartMath calls heart-brain coherence. And I'm going to guide you all through a very brief, just for a couple of minutes. It's called the quick coherence technique. And coherence is all about how our heart and our brain are working together. So the heart actually sends far more signals to the brain than the brain does to the heart. So when we combine both heart breathing, which is the first step of the technique we're going to do, and bringing in a generative emotion, those two things combined are like a secret sauce that HeartMath has measured over the last 30 years to create that heart-brain coherence. So it's an optimal state of well-being. It shows up in our heart rate variability is the main measure of it, if you're familiar with that. And it's a wonderful and easy tool to use. And for anybody who's a skeptic and wonders how the heck is all this true, I would just invite you to experience it for yourself if you're open and willing and able, and be your own judge of whether or not you think this is actually real. Because yes, there's science to back it, but at the end of the day, the science doesn't matter if you don't feel a shift or a difference inside of you. So the invitation is for the next couple of minutes. We're just going to breathe deeply through our hearts and bring in a regenerative feeling such as care or kindness or love. And I will guide you through the whole process. It'll take about 2 minutes. If you're willing to participate, I'd love to have you come along on the journey. If you'd rather not, that's perfectly fine too. If you want to cut your camera off, you can do that. If you want to close your eyes, you can do that. Whatever you're comfortable with, and whatever you feel good with for the next couple of minutes. So I'm going to put some background music on. And while I'm finding the right song here, bear with me just a moment. I just invite you to settle in. Maybe go ahead and start deepening your breath. Feel supported in the chair that you're seated in. Maybe feel your feet on the ground. Maybe align your spine, sit up a little bit straighter. Whatever helps you arrive in your body for the next few minutes. Just really slow down and deepen your breath, breathing in and out of your nose. And whenever you're ready, focus your attention on the area of your heart. If it helps you, you can place your hand on your heart. Just imagine that your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or chest area. Breathing a little slower and a little deeper than usual. Maybe you inhale to a count of 5 or 6, exhale to a count of 5 or 6, or whatever rhythm is comfortable for you. Long, slow, deep breaths, imagining your breath is moving in and out of your heart or chest area. And we're going to bring in the second step to coherence in this meditation, which is make a sincere attempt, if you're willing and able, to experience a regenerative feeling, such as appreciation or care or love or kindness. Maybe you can try and re-experience the feeling you have for a special person in your life, a pet, a beautiful place in nature, or just focus on a general feeling of calm or ease. Just continuing for the next 30 seconds or so, this combination of heart-focused breathing, tuning in to a regenerative feeling if you're able. Just a couple more deep breaths in and out of your heart. If you want to go ahead and wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, kind of wake yourself back up, bring yourself back to this moment. Open your eyes if you closed your eyes, turn your camera on if you had your camera off for this, and come back to the Zoom screen. And the invitation is, as much as you can remember during our time together today, just taking those deep inhales and exhales out of your heart will help you to be more present, more open to learning, more open to connect. And thank you all so much for having me. Also would love to hear in the chat anything at all that you noticed from that experience, anything that you felt in that time of pause. If you want to drop that in the chat, that would be a great way for us to close out here. And Stephen, I'm going to pass it over to you. Thank you again, brother, for having me.
My friend, thank you so much. If everybody would just like to unmute real quickly and just thank Adair for that beautiful, beautiful exercise, that would be wonderful.
Thanks, Adair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adair.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, folks, thank you very much once again, and just so grateful that you're here. One of the things, I don't know about you all, but I use meditation and I also use music to soothe myself and to relax. Anybody else use music in here to soothe yourself at all? To relax, to run with, exercise with, or just to calm down? So one of the gifts today is a very dear friend of ours from an exchange. I reached out to him, and without even a wink of the eye, he said he would be here with us today. So I'd like to introduce to you and welcome Peter Katz. Peter Katz was nominated for the Juno Award and the Screen Award. He has toured all over the world, providing talks and inspirational speeches. He started working with the youth, and now he works with organizations all over the world. This man is booked throughout the year, so him being here with us just speaks volumes. He's a songwriter and a beautiful human being. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Peter Katz. And Commissioner, Peter Katz is here because of you and your work, so thank you.
Thanks so much, Stephen. And hello, everybody. So nice to be with all of you. I can see all of you as well. And Adair, thank you so much for that heart lock-in. That's a beautiful way to start a session and helpful for me to get into doing my thing. So I'm going to play a song for you of mine. This is a song called Come Down. And I often introduce this song as being a song about letting go. And I was thinking about the idea of letting go, and around this session, this exchange that Stephen has prepared for all of us here today. And I thought of two things we might let go of as I play this song. So the first thing is maybe just letting go of any of our preconceived notions about what we might have, what we might have sort of inherited in our minds around what the prison system should look like, what correction looks like. I know there's going to be some powerful ideas that will be shared here today, and I know in my conversations with Stephen, already my eyes have been really open. So can we allow ourselves to really show up with an open-mindedness and letting go of what we might have showed up with even just here today? And also just in a more of a micro level, I know Stephen is a beautiful facilitator, and we've got an incredible session, and the commissioner, and what can we do to also let go of whatever might be preventing us to fully show up in this moment? Adair just helped us do that beautifully. Is there anything else that's kind of lingering, any distractions, anything that might have happened this morning, whatever, that we can just let go of? Can we just kind of breathe that out and breathe in anything that allows us to fully be here? So that's my invitation for you as I play this song. This is called Come Down. Come down, come down, come down from the clouds you're in. I see what's happening, won't let it this time. Come down, come down, come down, or come down crashing. You know that it's happening, don't let it this time. Don't paint her in a picture, don't put up on your wall. Don't invite her to the party and expect her to say nothing at all. Cause if love's gonna live, it's gotta breathe a bit. Needs air, push and pull, no fear of losing it. If I wanna break from the past, if I wanna have a chance at something that lasts, gotta start from the ground up. Gotta round up every bit of courage that I've got. Learn to love what I don't know, learn to love when I get lost. Come down, come down, come down from the clouds you're in. I see what's happening, won't let it this time. Come down, come down, come down, or come down crashing. You know that it's happening, don't let it this time. It's not the picture of love that I was raised on. It's not the literature that all those daydreams are based on. But it's real and it's good. It's what comes after I should, you should, we should, wish we could. It's the rain and the storm and now makes the green grow. It's the mountains that form in the path of destruction, the lava flow. It's the map of the scars on my skin, saying look how far I've come, look at where I've been. And it's beautiful in its own way. Sometimes the sky's so pretty even when it's gray. It's beautiful in its own way. Some things make us breathe the deepest as they take our breath away. Come down, come down, come down from the clouds you're in. I see what's happening, I won't let it this time. Come down, come down, come down, or come down crashing. You know that it's happening, I won't let it this time. Come down, 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 come down. come down crashing. You know that it's happening. Don't let it this time. Don't let it this time. Thank you so much, everyone. Much, much, much love.
Wow. Wow. Peter Katz, everybody. Peter Katz. If you want to just go ahead and mute and thank Peter.
I love it.
Beautiful.
Thank
you,
you.
Peter.
Beautiful.
Good job.
Lovely.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Incredible.
That
Beautiful,
was so truthful and so vulnerable. Thank you.
Peter,
Thank
thank
you.
you so, so much. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Folks, thank you once again. What a beautiful, beautiful voice and just a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to bring people together in this space. What I'd like to do is we're all here and we've all arrived in this space for different reasons. And we all have different reasons why we're involved with the work that we're involved with. What I would like to ask is just a question. I'd like to ask each and every one of you. Does everybody have a pen, first of all, available? If you could just hold that, maybe that pen up on screen and just let me see it. And if each and every one of you, you could maybe grab a piece of paper and just go ahead and journal for a second. Why is it important for you to be here today in this space? Why is it important for you to be with us here in this space? And why is it important for you to hear from the commissioner? Why is it just important for you to be here? And if you can, we're going to take about 20 more seconds. What we're going to be doing here, folks, momentarily is we're going to be moving into break-off groups. And in those break-off groups, turn this down real quick. We're going to be moving into break-off groups of triads, groups of threes. So wherever you end up, you might end up in a room with maybe 3 or 4 people. You might end up in a group with 2 people. You might end up in a group by yourself. And that's what my good friend John calls a personal retreat. So you'll have some self-time to be able to just be with yourself and get your thoughts together. But if you wind up in a room with a couple people or 3 people, I'd like each person just to go ahead and just share their thoughts with the other 2 people in the group. And then each person will have about 30 seconds to share what they've had written down. We're going to have 5 minutes for these break-off rooms. So it's very important that you stick to what you have written down. This is more of just sharing what you have written down than it is a conversation, just for the time. And what we will do is we'll come back into the space in about 5 minutes. This is just an opportunity to get to know one another, an opportunity to get to share what you have written down with each other. And then if there's enough space after, maybe just reflect back to each other what you heard and maybe find some common themes that were shared within those answers. So we're just going to go ahead and do break off rooms of 3s, and we'll see you back in the space in about 5 minutes. Please be mindful of the time and utilize about 30 seconds apiece to go ahead and share your answers. Leo, I'm going to allow you to go ahead and do the breakoff rooms that we have in place. And thank you very much. When that blue button comes up on your screen, hit that magical blue button and we will see you on the other side. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. It's good to see you. Bill, it's nice to see you today.
Thank you, Stephen. Great to see you.
Thank you. Coming back into space, everybody, please just make sure that your microphones are muted. Anybody make any friends or hear anything that registered with you? Any new friends, maybe? Wonderful sharing space with each other and having these opportunities.
Meeting is being recorded.
If we could, did anybody hear something that really stood out or registered to you? If you could, go ahead and raise your reaction hand down on the bottom if you heard something that really stood out to you. And I'll give you, what I'd like to do is just provide a space for a few people to share what they heard and maybe what happened in their break-off room. And I'll start with you, Ashley.
Thank you, Stephen. I was in a group with David, and I really appreciated that he said, a lot of times we are numb to the way that things are, and it's just the way that it is, and we kind of just adapt to it. But having you, Stephen, and Leo facilitating exchanges like this with the commissioner and with the warden, it really shows that that things can be different, and it really shows that things work. And it really offers us an opportunity to envision radical change. And I really appreciated that.
Ashley, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing. Radical change is the word that I heard, and we are experiencing it, and it moves my heart. And thank you for sharing that. Paul, I'd like to give you an opportunity to share. Thank you.
Great. My small group had 4 people in it, and I was amazed at the audience. The different backgrounds that brought us together for a common purpose and the power of exchange. We have a former warden who wants to tear down the correction systems that he has seen. We have a formerly incarcerated person. We have a teacher at a university who volunteers in a prison, and a fresh college graduate looking to learn more about the system. So what an amazing exchange to bring a small group like that together with a common purpose.
Paul, thank you so much. Thank you for being here with us. Harry?
I was inspired by something Christine said in our group, that prisons as a place for growth. I mean, who ever imagined such a thing, at least from my background? And then hearing from Lisa, who used her time in a very brief incarceration to improve herself, is inspiring.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Harry, thank you so much. That's beautiful. Thank you. And so beautiful to hear beautiful things in the chat room. Doug, and then Bill, and then we'll move on. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm cheating a little, Steve, because I'm across the hall from you. I'm also here at Maine State Prison. But what was amazing for me is I had a woman, Linda, in my group from Walla Walla, Washington, and she runs a star group for reentry programs. And James Brown is down in Tampa, Florida. So we are all across the country. And it's amazing to see, we're in here, and I've been in for 26 years. I'm out of the loop, but to see how many people are out there, and that all of you are here today, and that you care, and that everybody has the common goal of trying to make a change, it really is inspiring, because we sit here in these cells day after day, and we don't know what's going on out there. And to talk to people that are across the country, trying to make a change, trying to bring the system into a more productive, method of working, and to have the commissioner here with us today, this is really inspiring and hopeful that one day, not too far in the future, the United States changes its direction of correctional system. So that's inspiring.
Doug, thank you so much. We get time for Bill. Thank you very much. And thank you for sharing. Bill?
Well, Stephen, we had a small group. There were 3 of us in the group, but it was nice to meet everybody today. But the main focus of everybody's comments in regards to your question was the key word seemed to be change. And I think that's, it just echoes throughout this whole awakening exchange that there needs to be change. And I, like you, I'm formerly incarcerated. And I can tell you from being on the inside and now I'm on the outside, there needs to be change. And what I'm seeing in Maine is radical. It's amazing. And it's a complete paradigm shift. So I can't wait to hear the commissioner.
Thank you. Leo, if you could go ahead and just spotlight me up on the screen, that would be great. And then bring the commissioner up beside me. I'd really love that. And I really appreciate you doing that. Is that possible? Commissioner Liberty. How are you today, sir?
All is well. Great to be here.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here with us. And Commissioner, before we get deeply into this interview, I'm not going to go into the long bio as we've sent and published that and sent it out to everybody who's here with us today. First of all, I just want to say thank you. You're the Commissioner of the Maine Department of Corrections, and you've been instrumental in the creation of the Maine model of corrections. This model is getting national attention. You are getting recognized for the culture you are creating here in Maine. You've spoken in numerous places across the country, probably the world by this point in time, about criminal justice and prison reforms. And in addition, you have personally impacted my life and inspired my path, which I'm grateful for. What I'd like to do is what I'd really like to probably bring into this exchange to start with is for you, I'd like to bring a couple questions to you. And I'll bring up in order the questions that I'd like to ask you. But first, I would really love, and what I'd really love everybody to hear about is your journey to modern day leadership, because it really embraces the be, know, do philosophy. We will unpack whatever you want to share there. And from there, what you are seeking today in modern leaders that is being called on for us to be thinking about of who we are. I think before we do that, is there anything you feel compelled to say in response to the voices you were just presented with in the report outs?
Yeah, pretty amazing stuff. I deeply appreciate, being here with, what a wonderful vibe of redemption and healing and growth, and to be able to pause and consider all of those things. Just really wonderful to be here. And I think that, as a younger man, I've been at this for about 40 years now. I started in 1982. And when I was a younger man, I thought, as a law enforcement officer, as a soldier, as a corrections officer, I thought that, when I'm in charge, things will be different. And now's the time, right? Now's the time. And it's important for me to have a sense of urgency to accomplish those things and make the change that we can make, and just lead the organization in the right direction of healing and redemption.
Thank you. And for a second, I'd like to just drop an anchor there. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for a multitude of reasons. And I'd like to ask you, Commissioner, would you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and some of the lessons that you've learned in your upbringing and maybe what they've taught you? And you don't have to, you may not have known at that time how those lessons would actually bring you to where you are today. But I'd like you to feel free to start wherever you like and maybe just share whatever about your upbringing that brought you to where you're at today.
Sure. I grew up in poverty in central Maine. My father was a drinker, womanizer, didn't have much of a work ethic. A lot of domestic violence happening in my home. That was some of my first memories as a 4-year-old watching domestic violence. My dad was incarcerated frequently. And, the first time that I visited the Maine State Prison back in Thomaston was in 1971 to visit my father during a Christmas party while he was incarcerated. And many memories of visiting the prison to visit my father. He was a lot of burglaries, some robberies, a lot of OUIs, domestics, that kind of stuff he did time for. And so as we were growing up, as a result of his behavior, we were poor. We lived in a mobile home for 8 years, four of us in one bedroom and my mother in the other. And we grew up on food stamps, free hot lunch, surplus food. The best meal of the day was at school. So it was rough going. One winter we didn't have any water, the pipes froze and no help. And so we had no water. And, that's kind of how it went for my childhood. And, that kind of impacted me. I was able to see individuals or people that are, growing up in an antisocial sort of impoverished way, and the trauma associated with living in poverty, the way kids treat you, or the way that you're looked at, your clothes don't quite fit, or whatever it may be. And so that I learned some lessons there. I learned some lessons there. I learned the lesson of regardless of how you're born, what situation you're born into, you don't have to stay that way. And so, what happened I was fortunate that in high school I had football coaches and track coaches and teachers that showed me how to be an adult, how to treat people, how to speak, how to conduct myself. And then later on, I was fortunate enough to serve in the Army, and I had role modeling there that told me how to be a good citizen, how to work hard, how the harder I work, the luckier I was. And so that's kind of my early childhood. That's kind of how it went down. And as people have seen in my bio, I ended up serving 26 years in the Army system, active duty, reserve, and guard. During that time, I had a chance to serve in Iraq, and I saw deep poverty. I saw injustice there. I saw extreme violence. And simultaneously to that military time, I served at the Kennebec County Sheriff's Office for 26 years, and a lot of that was as a deputy sheriff. And so I went to a lot of homes where people are struggling with domestic violence, with substance use disorder, people in recovery, more poverty, I say elders that were struggling, children, all of that. And I was eventually promoted to sergeant, staff sergeant, major, and I was the elected sheriff for the last 9, and had an opportunity to try to affect some change in my community, and doing things like the CARA program, which is a criminogenic addiction recovery academy program, which addressed addiction for those that are individually that were incarcerated at the county level. Also did some veterans work and formed a veterans block. And as you've seen, I was then I retired from the sheriff's office and became the warden of the Maine State Prison. And that's where I met a bunch of the folks that are on the camera now. Doug and Deb Meehan and Perry Gates, my sensei, and Candace, who taught me an awful lot about caring, loving, nurturing, having an open heart. Sean and Leo and Tracy, and I've learned a bunch from all of you. And so that early childhood really formed my belief system about redemption. I believe that we all have requested forgiveness and redemption for the things that we've done, but as a society, sometimes we're reluctant to allow people to redeem and be reborn. And that's kind of the basis for my correctional approach, I think, redemption and providing opportunities for people to do that.
Yeah, I'm just amazed. I would really like to just sincerely drop an anchor there for a second and thank you. We could have started with how do you build a great organization, or how do you change your whole prison system? But I don't think any of that would have really mattered if we didn't have an opportunity to get to know you and who you are. So from the bottom of my heart, I just really want to say thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself. And I'd like to just bring, I think you know what I'm about to bring up on the screen, Commissioner. I'd like to just bring up on the screen a photo real quick. And you recognize that photo, Commissioner Liberty?
I don't see it.
You don't see it. Let's try again here. How's that?
Yes, there it is. And so there I am at the Maine State Prison in 1971, sitting on Santa Claus's lap, visiting my father with my brother.
Yeah. This speaks. I had an emotional moment when you sent me this photo, and I just want to share with the audience why. Well, first of all, that speaks, and this photo speaks vulnerability, and it speaks to authenticity, and it speaks to who you are as a person. But it really struck me, and I got emotional because I'm sitting in a prison cell under your care and custody. You're the person that is in charge of the prison where I reside and all the prisons here in the state of Maine. An incarcerated resident, and I feel like a resident, and like I'm earning my citizenship back because you trusted me enough with such a vulnerable piece of your family. And I just want to say thank you for that. And I want to say thank you for the ability to share that with the audience here today. And I really want to say thank you for sharing who you are with us today. The next question I have for you is, you have spent 21 years in the infantry, 26 years with the Kennebec County Sheriff's Office, 9 years of which you were the sheriff where I met you. You were the warden of the prison, and now you serve as the commissioner. Can you tell me what experiences in these roles have opened up your heart and how your heart being open plays a role in your leadership today.
Yeah, I think that, the totality of my experiences as a child, as a law enforcement officer, being in the communities and working with families that are struggling and individuals struggling with addiction and mental health issues, it really opened my eyes as I matured, as I obtained more education and became more aware of what brings people to custody. We know the drivers are mental health, substance use disorder, trauma, poverty, neglect. All of those things are what make up the people that are incarcerated in Maine today. And when I ask people, some of the barriers that we talk about to being able to have criminal justice reform and to really have a more informed approach are individuals talking about tough on crime, which we know is stupid on crime, right? And gubernatorial swings where people get into office and they don't want to fund and support programming. I had one governor that I worked for that when I was serving with you at the prison that called me a liberal activist. Imagine that. My boss called me a liberal activist. And one of the challenges is commissioners and wardens are very vulnerable. And we know that commissioners of corrections in the nation, their lifespan is about 2.5 years. And they're very vulnerable. And if something goes wrong, they're moved. And so those commissioners that are risk averse, settle in, status quo, don't take any chances, keep the prison quiet, right? That's what they do. And you do that by locking people in and just, putting people down. And so I've learned those lessons as I've traveled through my career, my life, traveled all over the world in the military and elsewhere. And I've just learned that, people are people. People are, we all fall short, right? And I'm no different from any of you. And I've done things that I'm not proud of. Maybe they ain't caught, right? And as I ask people in the community, have they ever committed a crime? And they know that they have. And it's just important to know that if you truly care about people, if you want to make a better life for our communities and for people in our communities, it's important to open your heart, put yourself in their shoes, understand that there are a lot of reasons why things happen the way they do. And the responsibility of the correction system is not to punish. The punishment is being incarcerated and separated from community, fellowship, families. That's the punishment. The role of corrections in Maine is to identify what brought people into our custody and help them address those issues so they can be redeemed, they can be restored, and they can be good citizens when they're upon release. And I feel as though when we do that, not only do we help the individual, but we know that mental health, substance use disorder, and incarceration are a family affair. We know that the parents are impacted, extended family are, children are, and so I think we make significant impact when we help those that have programmatic needs and need to be treated with respect and dignity. And I think that if we create an environment that's non-adversarial and is therapeutic and redemptive, much better outcomes and much better public safety for our communities.
That's right. I'm sure, you just mentioned you worked underneath the leadership of somebody who said that you're a liberal activist. And I'm sure there's people maybe even on this call that think you're a liberal activist. That's okay. There's probably people on this call that think you're moving too fast. There's probably people on this call that think you're moving too slow. One thing that I've learned from you in your leadership and mentorship, something you said to me years ago when we had a little situation with hospice, you said, play the long game. It's a balancing act, Stephen. And I've always carried that with me for a multitude of reasons. I've learned in my graduate studies in positive psychology, there's something called negativity bias, where if we have and move into any situation thinking negatively, everything we see along the way is going to be negative. So you could be doing the best things in the world. And because we have that lens on, because we've been tainted by the system, we've been hurt, we've been traumatized by the system, all we can see are the negative things and we can't see the positive things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to bring that to the forefront of everybody's consciousness. I have this debate with reporters right now that they want to bring forth everything bad that's going on, right? They'll nitpick and bring on the worst. They'll make up these scenarios and they'll exasperate these scenarios to bring a negative light. And my stance now is, why aren't we taking a firm stance in what's going right with corrections? We draw the light on. We bring the light here into the state of Maine to show all the wonderful things that were going on. And everything is evidence-based. Everybody on this call, raise your hand if you can relate to that. Evidence-based practices. So I see any hands up? I see some hands. So people know about these evidence-based practices out there. And one of the things I just want to say at the Maine Department of Corrections is I've witnessed when I first got here, people used to carry knives. People, there was a big drug game going on. A lot of other things were going on. And since Commissioner Liberty has come into place, the violence has gone down. And rather than, I always do this, rather than carrying shanks, we're carrying computer bags. And we're carrying computer bags to go get our education, where this place has become more of a campus. Is everything perfect? And this is to anybody on the call that may not see everything perfectly right now. Is everything perfect? No, it's not. But are things a lot better than they used to be when I got here 18 years ago? Let me be the person, the director of my own narrative, and tell each and every one of you on this call, things are 180 degrees different. And me believing in the commissioner and what he's doing, the long game, nothing happens overnight. It takes time. But I've seen the changes that you've made since 2014 when I first met you here in hospice. They've been absolutely and positively significant, which really leads into the environment that we used to have. It used to be a lot of toxic masculinity here. In fact, I think we still experience toxic masculinity in the prison system all the time. There's this bravado, this machismo, there's this egotistical kind of viewpoint. People are the victims, or there's this real strong thing. You can't be vulnerable and let your guard down. You've had a lot of experience with corrections. You've had a lot of experience with the military. You've had a lot of experience in being in law enforcement. What correlations do you see between the toxic masculinity that shows up in the military and law enforcement fields that you do with incarceration and corrections?
Yeah, great question, because you're right. I've been in those positions of extreme masculinity as a drill sergeant, as an infantryman, leading troops in combat, as a police officer. And you know, the question I have is, you know, in some circumstances, in combat and others, you know, that sort of bravado helps you survive. My question is what purpose does it serve in a correctional setting to have an adversarial power dynamic when someone has to rely on the, you know, on a baton or, you know, or a badge, or, you know, it's no good comes of it, I think. And I think that if you take a non-adversarial approach where you treat people with dignity and respect, that you get much, much better outcomes. We've all been in environments. As I talked about the Maine Model of Corrections, and I share with staff, we do trainings to try to get people, you know, evolved, because it's a journey. I have to find champions that are people of influence in the facilities to do that. And when people think we're going too fast or going too, you know, far too left, it's important for me to remind them about the Supermax. And it's important for me to say to them, let me get this right. You know, your idea of corrections was to do 25 extractions a day. Your idea was to open the food tray and cell saturate with OC, and then stack up with 6 guys dressed up like they're going to the Battle of Mogadishu, pop in the door, pouncing on the people inside. You have a torn rotator cuff. They have a torn ACL. They have more trauma. You have more trauma, and you do that day after day after day. Same with the ELU now. Previously, you know, segregation, and people down for 23 hours a day, and then we do a 5-point restraint and bring them into the rec yard and put them in a dog kennel, and we do that for 8 years, and we expect any other outcome other than significant mental illness and aggression and self-abuse. So yeah, it doesn't work. It's important for me to send that message of this is what works. I think in 2017, we had 77 assaults on staff at the Maine State Prison. And last year, I think we had 9. And so when I talk to the staff, I say, you know, not only is this a wellness, healing, redemptive experience for the residents, but also it's a sustainable career for you to be able to go in there and work with people and help them redeem and be prepared for release. And it's hard to argue those numbers. This works. This absolutely works. And, you know, it takes some effort from the key leaders like Matt, who's on now, and Jeff and many others that are working in our system to continue to remind individuals that this is the way of the future. This is a way to improve public safety. This is a way to improve the the community inside our facilities, this works for everyone. You're still muted, Stephen.
Thank you. No, the evidence does. It speaks for itself with where we were and where we are today. And the leadership team that I'm under right now, I can't give, there's nothing negative that I can say. The only thing I could say is I could get on that bandwagon and say things aren't going fast enough, or why aren't you doing this, or why aren't you doing that, or why aren't you doing that? But I think what a lot of folks fail to recognize sometimes, that it is a balancing act. There's a lot of different things, energies coming all at the same time. And really what I would like to reflect on, and what I hope that everybody else out there starts reflecting on, are the positive changes that are making place and taking place right now. And you've spoken so many times before about public safety being at the forefront of your mind, and for those underneath your leadership to becoming better citizens so they don't reoffend. What I'd like you to do, can you share maybe some of the programs that you have introduced here in the Maine State Prison, and how you've seen those programs reshaping the Maine prison system and the residents that reside here?
Yeah, so I think that, some of the programs that we've done and you've engaged in, and many on the screen have also engaged in, the yoga program with, I loved having the yoga program expanded, and to have individuals that have become certified nationally certified yoga instructors, really important. If I go into a unit and I'm teaching yoga, I have no credibility. And with individuals in the community come and teach that program, people get centered, and it has significant impact. The Liberation Institute was foundational for that. I also think it's important that, our canine programs, the dogs that we have in the Veterans Pod with America Vet Dog, I think that that's been very successful, along with many others, the kennel program and others. I think that the NCCR program has been good to help people with the construction trades. I believe that the agricultural program that we've done in the Maine Department of Corrections, we have 75 master gardeners now that have been certified by the University of Maine Cooperative Extension. We have more than 80 certified beekeepers now that tend beehives throughout our system. And for an individual to be able to nurture a seed into a seedling, and to work the gardens, and to produce at the Maine State Prison, 25 to 30,000 pounds of produce that we harvest in the morning, and individuals are able to consume a highly nutritious salad as a result of their efforts, and they feel good about that. And some people, this may be some of the first success and feeling of pride that they've had. And so that's really important, I think, to work on those sort of programs. Composting, same way, making good use of the organics that we have. I think that's gone very, very well. A lot of programs going on at the Maine State Prison, peer mentorship, a lot of good work happening that I feel have really made a difference, I think, in the culture. Education, can't be overstated. Individuals that broaden their horizons and graduate from the University of Maine at Augusta, and I know Deb Meehan's on. She was foundational to the success and ensuring that the residents, the students, get all that they deserve for education, broadens their horizons as it does ours. It's just been profound the way that the residents have responded, and that's the stuff that we bring in formally. But then you, the residents, have your own ideas and the own directions you want to take, and you pursue. To think that, Leo Hilton is able to teach at Colby and spread his wisdom and his story and share with the free Mainers at Colby College. Those are the kinds of things that have, I think, a profound rippling effect in our communities. Just amazing, really amazing, the work and the safety and the programmatic efforts that not only the staff have put in, but the residents, they care about what's happening in the community.
Yeah, I think that's the in relationship to consciousness and the turning point and transformation. I think and feel like Abraham Maslow talks about in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we hit our self-actualization where our hopes and dreams start coming together for us, and then we self-transcend. We reach that point where we want to go back into the trenches and start helping others, almost to correlate with Plato's allegory of a cave. The man sees the light, gets the wisdom, and he wants to go back down to help his fellow man gain a sense of enlightenment. And I think that's where many of us are at, but we're only in that space because of the space that you've given us to be successful. This exchange is a huge example of it. People are blown away. The past 4 that we've had, they've almost fallen out of their chairs to learn that I'm in a prison cell. I've served 18 years. I'm in a prison cell doing these exchanges and making contacts to bring jobs into the Maine State Prison. But that's because of your leadership and the leadership of Warden Magnuson and Deputy Commissioner Ryan Thornell. So I also want to give you that credit, because us as residents, we can have all the greatest ideas in the world. If we don't have that space to be able to have some self-empowerment and put those ideas into action, they're only ideas and they're not going to go anywhere. And that's what allows us to really thrive in this particular environment. So thank you.
Well, Stephen, a great example of collaboration between us and the residents is the earned living unit. To have a unit that was previously segregation and very trauma producing for all involved, to be able to convert that unit, individualize each person's room, to be able to remove those dog pens that we previously had, to be able to have you all self-govern and determine your own dynamics in that, to be able to have an acre plus organic garden with raspberries, strawberries, asparagus. Just amazing to have all of that you're gardening, you harvest, you bring into your unit, and you cook, right? I see Doug here. Every time I arrive at the ELU, Doug's got something going for me and sharing something with me he cooked. But just amazing to see, and proof that when given an opportunity, individuals will step up and succeed. And that earned living unit is just absolutely a great example of the leadership that you and those on the screen here have been able to produce and prove that you can be extremely successful if given the opportunity.
That's right. That's right. I remember being on a call with you, Commissioner, asking you permission to move forward with my PhD degree. And I remember what you had said to me about the importance of creating opportunities and forgiveness. And that to me really spoke volumes, because I know we had charted into uncharted territories when we started the master's degree program in here. But now moving forward, there'll be a couple of us moving into a PhD program from a maximum security program prison. I've researched it online. I haven't found anybody else that has done a PhD program. It doesn't mean it hasn't happened. It's just finding that research is difficult. So that also speaks volumes, which will give us a platform to be able to start putting this evidence and research out there, whether it's phenomenological or it's it's more of a mixed media or mixed methods approach to showing what's working and what's not working here. So I just want to say that it is us, but it's you providing the space for that to take place, which really leads into the next question as well, Commissioner. Everybody on this screen today and this audience are here today because they're interested in the work that's being done. They're interested in the Maine model of corrections. What I'd like to do is just open up a space. And I know there's been some folks that had your hand raised. I want to acknowledge you, and I want to let you know I see you. I feel your inspiration to want to ask questions. Believe me, I do. We're on a time crunch today. If there's a space that opens up, I'll do my best to provide you that space. We have an exercise that we're going to do today that you can actually write a message to the commissioner and write down something that you're thinking. So I just want to acknowledge each and every one of you that had some questions or thoughts, first of all. But Commissioner, what I'd like to do now is give you an opportunity to share with the audience today what the Maine model of corrections is and why it is so important to humanize people in our prisons across our country.
Thank you, Stephen. The Maine model of corrections is about normalization. It's about destigmatizing mental health, substance use disorder, incarceration overall. It's about a non-adversarial approach where it's not us against them, it's we, it's us. It's about identifying what brought people to corrections and helping them heal those wounds and resolve those issues. It's about all of that combined, and it's about giving people opportunity and seeing them for who they are. They're people, they're humans, they're Mainers, they're incarcerated Mainers who one day in very large part be released back into the community. And so it's that approach, it's the non-judgmental approach to helping people heal and redeem. And, you know, my observations have been each time that we provide opportunities for the residents, they continue to prove success. They're worthy of our efforts. It's a better community for both the residents and the staff. And everyone succeeds when we do that. Can you imagine back when we did the segregation piece, our perception that they are so dangerous, they can't be released back into the prison community, but we're going to release them back into our communities outside. Can you imagine that? And so there's a failure on our part not to program, address their needs, and take care of what we need to take care of so that they're functioning well in the community inside the walls, and then they're released safely on the outside. So that in a nutshell is what Maine Model Corrections is. We've had some really good exposure. We've had, I think 7 states have come to see what we're doing. Everyone, of course, walks away from the earned living unit. Are you kidding me? This is the maximum security prison. And you know, they don't think it's possible, but you've proven them wrong. You have proven them wrong to have those Sally Porter doors open and all of you in the ELU come and go as you wish. How could that be possible? I stood there like an idiot 2 weeks ago, standing by the door, waiting for them to open it. And over the intercom, hey, Commissioner, the door's unlocked. Just as a reminder, right? We've all done that. And it's just that's the Maine Model of Corrections to me. And it's the challenge for me is to navigate politically, to navigate in the legislature, to work with those that have the power of the purse strings. You know, culture, that's a you know, for those of you involved in any sort of a correctional environment, you know, there's we're a very cultured, entrenched sort of an industry, and so it takes time to evolve that. I think those that are living in the ELU have seen some significant involvement of officers and how they're, and some of you have written to me about it, about how they should be raised up as an example of how to navigate and work and assist and help people heal. And we're on a journey. But the important thing for me as a leader is each time I have an opportunity to promote someone or put people in the right place of positions of authority and have the ability to influence, careful consideration for those individuals that buy into the Maine Model of Corrections, believe in non-adversarial relationships, and people with dignity and respect.
And that's a lesson that could really be echoed across the United States. And I think one of the greatest gifts that we have that you're allowing us to do is you're allowing us, who better to hear it from the residents? So we hear it from the power up dynamic all the time. The leaders up are saying to everybody else down, hey, this is how it should be. This is what's going on. But I think it takes on a whole new meaning when you have an incarcerated resident speaking their truth about what is possible and actually standing behind their leadership. I mean, I don't know. I always kid around a little bit. I say, I don't know if I have a touch of Stockholm syndrome or if there's something really screwed up with me, but I really believe in these people and the way that they have me locked up, you know, and I just hope, I know we're working on some other things for early release and for other opportunities, but I hope and pray that the men that I'm surrounded with, because there's so much talent in the system of mass incarceration, people make that one bad choice out of trauma, out of pain, the things that they were going on, mental health, substance abuse. They make that one horrible choice. And unfortunately, the way our court systems are set up, they're defined by that choice for 20 to 50 years sometimes. And I think we're now catching on, realizing that people have some potentiality to make changes in their life. They can change. And if they're presented with those opportunities, we see it now with technology offering laptops to people and allowing people to get online. Now we have 80 people, 90 people enrolled in school. When I first got in, it was 8 of us and we were handwriting our papers. So big changes. What
and Stephen, you know, I'll tell you this, when I meet with my colleagues, and I'm a member of the Correctional Leaders Association, the commissioners from every state, when I speak to Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, other Arizona, and we talk about residents having laptops and access to the internet, it blows their mind. And when I tell them these are good people that are using it for good, and they're informing, educating, expanding, growing, and redeeming, it's hard for them to understand. And so that's why it's important this spring, we're going to do we're going to create a Maine Model of Corrections Academy. So when these states come to Maine to see what we're doing, we're going to do a 3-day formalized process to show them just exactly what's possible. And, you know, when people are given the opportunity, how successful they can be, and the people on their screen, how successful they can be. And so you'll be part of that. And I apologize for all of you in the earned living unit, bringing people in and touring people, but it's so amazing. And what you've been able to achieve. I hate for you to be in a fishbowl all the time, but as you know, people are just blown away by what you've been able to achieve, you and Warden Magnuson and the whole team working down there and leading the way in the nation. So thank you for all of your work.
Thank you, sir. What if, and Commissioner, we're wrapping up the interview, and I think this is a really important question. Based on your experience in corrections, what words of advice would you offer to anyone out there that's listening today, who's interested in creating healthier prison environments, balancing, obviously, public safety with rehabilitation? What message would you give to anybody that's listening today on this call, or somebody that may listen to the recording of this call, that something I'd like you to tap into your heart maybe, and maybe tap into your experience to answer this? What would be that message for that person?
I would say what we've done, the punitive model doesn't work. The evidence is clear. You know, it creates more damage and less public safety by warehousing people and by locking them up and not providing them the opportunity to heal what they need to heal and to redeem what they need to redeem. And so if you're truly concerned about public safety, provide them the tools to be successful. The old punitive model doesn't work. Mass incarceration doesn't work. The purpose of corrections is to identify what brought them there and to help them redeem themselves and return as a good citizen. And so if you care about public safety, and we talk about reduction of recidivism, for me, reduction of recidivism means less victims in the community, right? That's public safety. And by providing the opportunities for redemption and to restore themselves, the public will be safe. It is a challenge. The leadership needs to be bold. They don't want to be labeled as a liberal activist. But you have to have some courage to break those molds. We're very fortunate in the state of Maine that Governor Mills gives me great latitude to do what we do. Previous administrations created a very job insecure position for me. I was threatened with termination several times for doing the work that we were doing. And but you have to be bold. You have to stand up and you have to say, at the end of the day, have you made a difference in your communities? Have you made a difference in the lives of people? You know, you have to, you know, what do you want your legacy to be? And for commissioners and wardens, this is legacy work. You know, do you want to, you know, run a 1950 style punitive sort of system where, you know, people that are harmed and have been harmed and are victims very often themselves and continue that trauma? Or do you want to be a part of a model that redeems and makes our community safer?
That's beautiful. And I love the fact that you said you have to be bold and you have to stand up. And you're my mentor. You're one of the greatest mentors I've ever had in my life, sir. And I appreciate that. I remember when you first came in, and what drew me to you was the fact that, you know, you operate from a very heart-centered place. I don't know if anybody on this call knows this, but Commissioner Liberty, when he served as the sheriff, our Vietnam veterans that had returned home that were never honored. In fact, you know, the situation when many of them returned home, they weren't welcome home like many of us that returned back home. Commissioner Liberty, actually, at the time, the sheriff, he shut down a road in Augusta and he allowed our veterans to walk across the bridge with the whole community on the other side of the bridge, welcoming them and each and every person back. And to me, that spoke volumes to who this man is, how his heart is in the direction that we're going in. And I like what he said, that it's political. Obviously, there's a political balance that he has to bring into it. And this is probably me having your back. Of course, there's a political balance. You're in a role of politics, being the commissioner of the Department of Corrections, but there's also real authenticity about who you are and what's happening here. And if you say something, one thing I will say to you, you do stand behind it. So being bold, exactly what you said, I look for the day when I have my early release And I look forward to teaming up with you and Warden Magnuson and some other folks that have really changed their lives around to create the biggest and greatest consulting firm that goes in and helps change prisons from the inside out, working multidimensionally. And I think that kind of consulting firm is something that we've needed for a long period of time. And then we bring in governance from everybody that's involved in these communities as people that can see what we're doing and provide some insight. But I truly, truly believe if we work together and we work together in creating changes in these systems, the changes would definitely happen. And what an interesting approach, right? Incarcerated residents and people that are in law enforcement and corrections working together. So, Commissioner, I just want to say to you, thank you very, very, very much for your time today with us. And thank you for sharing who you are and your experience with corrections. It means so much to us.
Thank you. It's been a gift to be here. I appreciate it.
Everybody, if you would like to just unmute your microphones and thank the commissioner for being here with us, thank him for the work he's doing with the Maine Department of Corrections. That would be wonderful.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Liberty. Amazing.
You
work.
really inspired me. It brought tears to my eyes.
Thank you, sir.
For your courage
Thank
and
you, sir.
beautiful, positive
Thank you for all the
leadership.
opportunities.
Commissioner,
Thank
you're
you.
amazing.
And my mommy
Breathing
says hi.
Come to
Breathing free,
California
wonderful.
today. Thank you for your visionary leadership, Commissioner.
we need you.
And come to
Yeah,
Iowa. We
come to
really need your
California.
help too.
Texas needs you.
Miss Callie.
I think the entire United States needs the commissioner at this point in time. So, folks, what I'd like to do is
Thank you. Thank you.
I would like you now to reflect on the time we just had with the commissioner. I'd like you to reflect on everything that he just said and shared with us. What was the most important gift Commissioner Liberty has given you? What is the most important gift Commissioner Liberty has given you today? And what we'll do is we'll just spend, if you could grab a pen and piece of paper, we're going to just spend the next 35 to 40 seconds journaling what that gift was. So as we move into these breakoff rooms, there'll be triads. And what I would like and ask each and every one of you to do is we're going to have 6 minutes here. And that 6 minutes will be used 2 minutes for each person to really open up and share what they've heard. And then we're going to provide an extra 3 minutes for a reflection back. So what I would ask you to do is after each person shares, just allow that person to be seen, heard, and felt just by doing a little bit of active listening and mirroring back. So for example, if I'm working with Leo in a group and Leo says, I really appreciated the fact the commissioner said public safety is at the forefront, but the way we've been doing corrections does not add up and hasn't been working. And it means a lot to me for these reasons. I would reflect back to him and just say, Leo, I heard what you said because I relate to that. I'm in that same boat. And just remember, folks, this isn't an audition for your TEDx interview. This is an opportunity to come together and have this is more, it's not even a conversation. This is more of an interview. So just allow each person to share their answers, reflect back to each person, and we'll come back from the break-off rooms in about 8 minutes. So thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you when we come back into the rooms. And when that magical blue button, and go ahead, and maybe if you could just put your hands up real quick, folks, and just rub your hands together. Maybe you saw somebody on the screen that was fascinating and looked fascinating that you wanted to meet with. And if you could, just go ahead and maybe just throw that energy out. And maybe you'll arrive on the other side with that person. We'll see where it goes. Thank you.
Love your patience. Thank you very much. Working with a couple technical difficulties. You will be there momentarily. And almost there.
You're doing great.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Folks, it's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you all. It's just a really beautiful gift that everybody's here today again, and you've had this opportunity to share. And we really look forward. We look forward to our next event that will be coming up next month with Christopher Perrin. Christopher Perrin is a leader in corrections, but we'll bring that up and send that out to you in an email. Thank you. And I hope you arrive wherever you hope to find the other person that you were looking for. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. It's good to see you. Thank you for coming back in. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you. Thank you for coming back in. It's good to see everybody. Anybody make any friends in this new break-off room, or maybe hear something that really stood out to you?
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you. So good to see everybody. Welcome back. If you heard something,
Meeting is being recorded.
if you heard something that really stood out to you or really landed well in your heart, if you'd like to share, I'd ask you to go ahead and just raise your hand. And what I want to do is just be mindful of the time that we have here today. So we'll give a few moments just to share those key things that showed up. And we have time for a few people. So Linda, I'd like to start with you.
Well, I first want to say it was a delight meeting Bill Hobbs, Heather Austin, and Carla Walker. And what we all came through with was hope and validation on so many levels. One, that this program works and that it's proven, but someone that has been as vulnerable as the commissioner and sharing his story and his background, especially with that military piece, if he can make this shift in his head and heart and approach, the rest of us have zero excuse as far as like, this is just should be the norm. But I think hope was our biggest thing, hope that we can make these necessary changes. Oops, you're muted.
Thank you so much for sharing that. There's a lot of hope coming forward in these meetings, and a lot of hope coming together by us coming together as a collective bunch. And all of us have our own answers and we have our own thoughts. But when we come together and unlock this collective wisdom the way that we're doing it here, there's so much more power and there's so much more momentum that takes place. So thank each and every one of you for your collective wisdom and being here and sharing. Mary, love to hear from you. Mary, thank you for being part of our leadership team with us.
Thank you, Stephen. Beautiful job interviewing Commissioner Liberty, and I love his last name. Every time I've told people about this meeting, like, wow, his last name's Liberty? That's so cool. So I want to give a thumbs up to that beautiful connection. And big thank you to Lisa, Judith, and Taryn in my group. We also talked about hope. Hope, it's so beautiful to have that hope. One of the people were talking about generations of incarceration, and to have hope that transformation can happen in their own personal family was super powerful. Another person was talking about the value of staff, how staff must be willing to see potential, to have others believe in you. And that resonates so well with what Fergus McNeill, the beautiful criminologist in Scotland, has argued. Desistance is the process of no longer committing crimes. That there are 3 levels, and that 3rd level are the social and political processes. And that comment from Judith really resonated with that. And Taryn's beautiful point about humanity, that that the past does not need to reflect the future, and having role models will allow people to be released from prisons without trauma. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, Mary, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing with us, and thank you so much for synthesizing that information and bringing it back like you did. I really appreciate you, and thank you for being here. Vanessa, I think you're muted, my friend. I think you may be muted.
Sorry about that.
You're okay.
That was amazing. I want to thank the commissioner and for this exchange and everything you guys bring to it. So I was in a breakout room with some 4 incredibly amazing people. And the common themes, maybe not the exact words, but the common themes were hope, reimagining new possibilities, a vision. And I think we all I see this as like fuel, like these exchanges, it's like fuel to keep us part of this reform of this movement. So, and then one of the main things that I keep hearing is like a shift in the mindset. So yeah, I just want to share that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for sharing and being with us. And thank you for serving on the leadership team too. We really appreciate your help and your assistance. And thank you for being with us. Diane, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Stephen. We had also a wonderful group spread across the country, Paul, Maria, Elena in San Diego, and I'm so sorry I forgot the girl's name, but who's doing marvelous work developing curricula for wardens and other people that are employed in the prisons. We're speaking about the importance of words and naming things, the residents and not inmates, residents, and the notion of incarceration on a campus rather than in a prison locked up. The peer relationships that Commissioner Liberty was stressing, the non-adversarial approach, the humility in that is just so inspiring.
So yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And the peer relationships is a huge component of it, because we can learn so much from one side, we can learn so much from the other, but when we're learning collectively and collaboratively from a peer, when we're doing with, it seems to be a lot more magic that takes place. And that's more of the restorative justice and transformative justice approach that we have been taking. So thank you all for sharing. What a beautiful, beautiful interview. Commissioner is a beautiful person. And I'm hoping and praying that these ripples are going to be spreading out. Our deputy commissioner was just hired by Arizona to go clean up the prison out there. So I'm hoping he'll be a guest in our exchange in the next 6 months. So we have many, I was saying this before we went off into our breakoff rooms, our upcoming events. We have Christopher Perrin, a criminal and forensic psychologist who has brought peer support programs into prisons in the UK. We have David DeRocher. And if you're unmuted, could you just go ahead and mute yourselves, please? That would be grateful. I'd be grateful. We have David DeRocher from the Other Side Academy that will be coming in to talk about his model that has a 93% non-recidivism rate if people attend and complete. In the future, we have Cardell Sims coming on to talk about the work that he's doing out there. We also have Meg Hogan from HeartMath. She has brought a program into the Florida prison systems where people are having just a wonderful experience with it. So many good things are coming up. And what I'm going to do right now, folks, in the chat room, I'm going to go ahead and place a survey. If you have time, what I would ask you to do is just go ahead and click on that link. And let me just give me a thumbs up if and when it comes up on your screen, so I know that you have it, and I'll just look. I just want to make sure everybody has it brought up. So beautiful. Everybody has a thumbs up. You don't need to fill that out right now. What I'll ask you to do is when you have a little bit of time, is please fill out that survey. That will give us a better understanding of how to serve you and bring you forth exchanges that are going to cause an interest and actually inspire you. So that's what we want to do, is inspire you with these things. So when I arrived in prison years ago, you were talking about peers and mentorship and the level peers have. I landed here and I met a really good friend. His name is Robert Payson. And when I read Robert Payson was instrumental in the changes that I was making in my life when I first arrived and back in 2007. And he stepped forward and he encouraged me to get involved with groups. He encouraged me to get involved with education. He was a big time friend, somebody that just came forward and wanted to see other people succeed. He provided me, encouragement not to act like a knucklehead. We all get into prisons and we all have this idea that you get a longest yard somebody off their seat just to get respect and earn respect. You don't know what to expect. We've all been conditioned by looking at these movies that prison's going to be a horrible thing and you better get respect because they will get you. That's the stuff we have in our consciousness. So Bobby Payson was the type of guy that stepped up and said, no, you don't need to do that. What you need to do is you need to get into school. You need to get involved with volunteerism and groups. It inspired me to get involved with NAACP. And Bobby also was inspirational for me to get involved with hospice and serve on the hospice program here at the prison. 2 weeks ago, I learned that my good friend passed away in a car accident, going to do volunteer and criminal justice reform work. And it was probably some of the most devastating news in the world. To honor him and to honor his spirit, what I would like to do today is I would like to bring forth, he did a talk with hospice. I'm having a hard time for some reason getting it up on the screen. Give me just 1 second, please. And what I'd like to do is just bring up an interview that he had and an interview that he participated in when we were in hospice together. Yes. Oh. And from that interview, I would like to pose a question to each and every one of you that are here with us today. So I'm going to bring up Bobby on the screen now. And again, this is a man that has had a serious impact on not only my life, but the lives of many people here at the prison. Everybody see that? You just go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Okay. Bring him back up here. And I'm going to go ahead and just play this. Thank you.
If you were able to give a message to other prisoners.
Leo?
Just lost it.
Okay, I'm not quite sure what just happened there. Maybe it's not meant to be today. Let me try this one more time and we'll see what happens.
If you were able.
Okay, well, this is in memory of Bobby anyway, folks. And thank you for your patience with me. I really, really appreciate it. Is the screen shared right now? Okay, here we go. Thank you.
If you were able to give a message to other prison systems or wardens throughout the country, what would you want to say to them? And I want you to say it right into that camera right there.
I think what I've learned through the process of doing, like I said, almost 30 years in prison, the most important thing to me is invest in the human being, in the humanity of another human being. We're all much better than the worst choice we ever made. And if we can just look at each other in that lens, we can see each other as worthy. And that's the whole point.
There it is. That's the whole point. Thank you.
So the question, and thank you all for letting me share that with you. That was really important for me to do today and a way to honor my friend. The question that I have for each and every one of you today, and Leo, if you want to just go ahead and put this message in the chat box. If you were able to give a message to other prison systems or wardens across the country, what would that message be? And what we're going to do, folks, is we're going to move into break-off rooms for 10 minutes. I'm going to put 4, I think we have right now left in the Zoom call, we have 70 people. So I'm going to do groups of 4. Whatever break-off room you wind up in, you will find here. Let me just bring it up to the screen. You will find a, Leo, you want to put that sheet in the chat box. So I'm going to paste a sheet in the chat box of a Google Doc. If you can go into that Google Doc, whatever break-off room you wind up in will be the the sheet you're actually working on. So up top, it will give you that sheet number. And this is an exercise that I've learned from my really good friends at Exchange Approach. So what we're going to do, what message would you give wardens and commissioners across the United States if you had that platform? And then we're going to design, I want to just show the power of unlocking the collective wisdom together and working together today. So we're going to go together in groups of 4. We're going to take a minute here to journal. We're going to journal what our answer is. And when we get into those groups of 4 with our already journaled answer down, this is a little bit backwards the way that I'm doing it. We're going to share. And what we'll do is we will go ahead and find in that group a scribe, our leadership team that ends up in the room with you. They will support you. So we'll find a person that can scribe and actually take notes. So one of the 4 will be taking notes, and I'm going to ask one of the 4 people to be a reporter. So we'll have time when we come back in to do a few report outs. So give me a thumbs up if everybody has that Google Docs up on your screen. So what I'd like to do, just for about 30 seconds, if you could just grab your pen and piece of paper. I know this might be a tough thing to do in 30 seconds, but we're going to do the best that we can. And just go ahead and put that message down. What message would you share with a warden or a commissioner out there if you had an opportunity to share a message with them? Thank you. So again, folks, we're going to wind up in the break-off rooms. We're going to be in groups of 4. Some of you might be in a group of 3 or a group of 2. And really the power of this exercise and the idea behind this exercise is to show you what we can accomplish together in just a small amount of time and what message we can bring forth. And then what I'm going to do with all that information, I'm going to go ahead and synthesize that information to type up a letter and put that letter forward, and I'll send it to each and every one of you. So if you know wardens or you know commissioners that you could get that letter to, that will be a way collectively we can impact the system of mass incarceration today based on Commissioner Liberty's interview. So Leo, same thing. You guys go ahead and bring your hands up. We're going to rub your hands together just again. Lesson I've learned from my good friends at Exchange. Just bringing that energy together. Sarah, I see you smiling, so I know you know what's going on right now. And I'd like you to envision the person that you want to wind up in the room with, whoever it might be on the screen. Just go ahead and throw that energy forward. And when that blue button comes up, go ahead and hit it. And let's see if you end up where you're supposed to be. Thank you, folks. Everything that's going on. Belen, how are you? It's good to see you today. Thanks for being with us. So good that
Thank you.
here.
I'm so excited to be here. You guys are great.
Mm.
I'm inviting everybody I encounter now is going to be
Thank you.
invited.
Yes, bring them on through.
Bring them all through. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Welcome back, everybody. It's good to see you. So good to see you. Welcome back. Anybody here? I'm just going to put you on gallery view here. And just by a show of hands, was anything unlocked in that room that was pretty significant in that short period of time? Just raise your hand if you feel like that brought forward something that was really interesting and inspiring. Maybe if you were inspired a little bit or you heard something. Anybody feel like you heard something in your group, or is there something? So I want to be respectful of the time, and we're going to be getting into bonus time here in a second. So I want to give space for a few people to share and a few report outs. I'd like to start with you, Mary. Would you like to just share maybe
Yes, I'll
what
be
happened?
super brief because I know someone else was going to actually talk from our group, but Master Chef Doug, our gardener, Doug was in our group. And I just mentioned tonight I am hosting an international a Zoom call at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's the International Music and Justice Inquiry Network. So we have people from all over the globe that do work with music in prisons. And I'm like, if anybody wants to come, I know Doug probably can't. And then Doug was the one person that said, yes, I actually could. Send me an email with the link. I'm like, what? So anyway, he's going to join us. And if anybody else wants to, I'll put my email in the chat and I'm happy to send you a link.
Isaac, would you like to go and maybe share what breakoff room you were in? That would be wonderful.
Sure. I was in part of, let's see, I think we were in breakout room 2.
Okay.
And I was typing away. I'm not sure if it saved it or not, what happened, but hopefully some of my ideas got in there. I know everybody did a great job. And anyways, I would love to, whether it's in there or not, my thoughts I was trying to get down was that if there's anything, some major things to carry away from this that other wardens would hope to discover from this. One of the things that I pulled out is we need a blueprint for hope and greater insight. And I also wanted to say that the punitive model, this is kind of like paraphrasing, didn't mean to, I'm not trying to copy what the commissioner said, but I like what he said about the punitive model doesn't work. And that we need to provide the tools to be successful, and that will raise self-esteem and will redeem themselves, those that are, or in other words, those who are incarcerated and within custody.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Isaac. Those are beautiful,
Sure.
beautiful points. And I'm going to make sure that these all go into a letter, and I really just appreciate you. Thank you. Carla? You know what group that you were working with, Carla?
Yes, Stephen. I had the honor of being in group 14 with Jessica and Diane.
Beautiful.
And we got to embrace the accusation of being flower children, which is about love and the importance of and the necessity of having love, humility, and healing. Those are the tools that are needed. So you get rid of the punitive stuff, get back to the humanity, and then we can move forward. Isn't it beautiful? Thank you.
I just almost want to just sit with that for a second. That is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And we appreciate you. And thank you for serving on our leadership team and being with us today. I greatly appreciate you and appreciate your vibe and just what you bring forward to these exchanges. So thank you for being here. Mr. Bill Hobbs, another one of our leadership team members. I'd like to open up some space for you, my friend. And what group were you in?
Well, Stephen, I tell you what, I'm going to let you down in two categories right now. I didn't catch the group that I was in, but I was with Taryn, Pamela, and Kelly.
Okay.
And we had some technical difficulties and couldn't get the Zoom or the paperwork to come up. But anyway, to make a long and the short of it, everybody was talking about the fact that the redemptive qualities that the commissioner spoke about. Also, the fact that there's times that we need to start renaming things, that programming, if it needs to take a little bit different path and rename what we're calling things. But one of the biggest things that was talked about was the fact that the commissioner was willing to open up and talk about his past and being able to see things through a lens from going from poverty to prosperity, I guess, for lack of better terms, and into the position that he's at, and all of those experiences that he brought with him. It's a redemptive change for everybody. And the comment that he made about the use of segregation and then releasing people right from segregation into society, how that is in no way, shape, or form public safety minded when you come right down to it. If people are too dangerous to be on the yard with everybody else, they're certainly too dangerous to be released back into society without some type of redemptive change. And sir, I'm going to speak, Jill, from my own heart, that what I see in you and Leo, the changes that he is making in those facilities are amazing. And I believe that you two individuals can be can make amazing changes once you got out. And I appreciated the fact that the comment you made about a consulting firm, using the commissioner as part of the consulting firm.
Bill, I was just startled. Somebody had come into my cell behind me. Believe it or not, we're having Chinese food today, which is probably one of the craziest things to say while I'm in a maximum security prison. I haven't eaten Chinese food in 18 years, and there's a delivery of Chinese food on my bed right now. I'm sure it's going to make me feel good later.
My
Thank
fault for
you.
interrupting.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for what you just said. So brilliant and so beautiful. I also want to just echo that. I believe that's what the awakening is. The tagline of awakening is transforming from the inside out. So those changes, just like yoga or meditation or church or prayer, those changes need to happen within us and spread out. But I also believe in terms of systems, those changes have to happen within the system, and then we spread those changes out. And that's really what Ken Wilber talks about in his 4 quadrants of consciousness. He talks about the I all the way down to the it's. And I'm not trying to confuse anybody here with this conversation. This is something we'll talk about at another exchange, but to really have systems change, it needs to start with the I, with my own values and with my own beliefs and what's showing up within me. And when that takes place, like Leo's doing, we can create that work and we can spread it out, providing our alarm clocks are working. Right, Leo? Robert, I would like to go to you next, sir. Thank you, Bill. Robert, I think you might be muted. I'm not sure, sir. Robert?
Yep, there we are.
Okay,
There we are.
yep.
So a couple of things, and I'm going to add a thought or two of my own here, but the notion of what Commissioner Liberty was able to advance really required active listeners on the part of the current Governor Mills, whatever his name is, and the skills that he must have had to be able to read the people that he's talking with and know what language will work is important. And so in talking to any other commissioner, I think that is a dimension of what it would take to see whether or not it's worth the time and the effort. So identifying those profiles of other commissioners and understanding their political reality would be very, very important. Our group also then came up with, things that I'm hearing already about punitive measures or counterproductive to rehabilitation and transformation, and that emboldening others, particularly other commissioners, would be a skill that I imagine someone like Commissioner Liberty has, to highlight the humanity in the individual that they're talking to, and ask them from that stance to relate to the possibilities in their prison system. The other point that is important is to highlight that the aggregate impact on the staff and the residents, the collective impact, not the one by one, elevates the energy and the possibilities beyond imagination. And that's a way of talking about the leap of faith that other commissioners would have to take to test that statement itself. And that's what I would want to share.
Robert, and I just want to say first, thank you. Thank you for your share, and thank you for the heartfelt sentiment that came up. It's so important that we are present for one another, and we're actually provide these spaces for voices to be heard. And it's so important that we have that active listening where those voices can be listened to. And when we find programs that are working, we can emulate those programs into systems across the country. And it boggles my mind. There's still prisons. If you can picture this, sure you can all bring this to your mind, is a guard on a horse with a 12-gauge shotgun riding around as individuals pick cotton for 10 cents an hour. That still goes on in our country. And can you believe it? We've made so much progression. We've got to where we are, but there's still people picking cotton for 10 cents an hour with a guard, with a gun and a horse. And that's really the new Jim Crow. That speaks volumes to many different things. And the majority of those folks are of different ethnicities and races, and it just tells you that there's a lot of changes that need to take place. But if we can show and highlight this model, if the 4-minute mile not too long ago, somebody said they'll never run a mile in 4 minutes or less than 5 minutes, and now we have a 4-minute mile. So now people believe that's possible, and because now they're believing that's possible, more and more people are doing it. So if we can show this system, nobody believed something like this was possible in the United States. Now that we're showing it and highlighting it, that's how we change consciousness. That's the 100th monkey effect. That's truly tapping into Indra's web and creating changes over here from right here. So we're all connected with one another, and that's what we're doing here in these exchanges. And what a beautiful way to get the message out. Faye, I'm going to allow you to go. Leo's beautiful sister. It's nice that you're here today, and it's so good to see you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm sorry my camera won't work. I tried so many times and it's just not doing it. So it's really nice to see your beautiful faces though. I really just wanted to take a minute to throw my voice at you since I can't smile at you. Leo, Stephen, I'm really proud of both of you bros. I'm very, very proud. Just the work that you're doing it's always been inspiring to me, but to watch you inspire people all over the world. Like I talked to people down south and on the West Coast, and I spoke with a lovely lady in Cameroon. It's wonderful to have this kind of connection like that. And also, like it's strange to say things like, I haven't seen the commissioner for a long time. It was really nice to see him. Like that's not something as an average citizen I ever thought I would say, but it was really good to see Commissioner Liberty as well. So I love you both. And I'm glad I was able to make some time to come to this meeting because it was my first one. I'll try to come again, but I don't know when I'll be able to. Just know that I'm always with you and cheering you guys on. And thank you to everybody else that came into this meeting to support. Please keep being amazing everywhere.
Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for being here with us. It's a gift that you were here. Doug, I saw your hand up. Did you want to share something? And then we're going to end the call. I just want to be respectful of time and thank you for
Yep.
being bonus time.
Just 10 seconds. I wanted to apologize for everybody saw me startle Steve earlier. As another example of where we are at the ELU, we just got Chinese food delivered. I just took Steve's over to him. So a lot of us here have not had Chinese food in decades. And Steve didn't see me sneaking up behind him with his order. But thank you all for being here tonight. And it's been really inspiring for those of us in here to know that you guys are out there and that people care and are trying to make change. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I just want to say before we get off this call, I want to say to each and every one of you, I really feel moved that you are taking your time to be with us. You have taken your time to show up, and you've taken your time to actually share so much with all of us. And it really, really means the world to us, to Leo and I. It means the world to what we're doing here in the system of mass incarceration. And it also means the world, I think, to many people in prisons across the United States. When we come together and the only intention is to spread love and to spread kindness, there's nothing but good things that can come from that. So again, the idea of changing the collective consciousness and unlocking collective wisdom, I really owe that and attribute it to my good friend, John Berghoff, Adair, who is here today, and my friends at Exchange. I see some of them on this call with us. And I want to say to each and every one of you, thank you. And thank you for using your time and spending your time to be here with us. If you haven't done the survey, please take some time to fill that out and get it done. And Sarah, I did change the date on there. I saw that it was still set in December. So thank you for that. And I'm learning, this is a learning process for me as I move along with a lot of support that I'm getting from consultants and some of the best coaches out there. Sarah's dad happens to be somebody that's really influenced me in my path and some of the things that I'm reading right now. So just have a lot of respect for your dad, Sarah. Thank you. And thank you for your kindness and for your support with my PhD and everything that you've done. And thank you for meeting with me too, right? Individually. I just want to say as we move forward, we all come into these exchanges, maybe hearing something and we get motivated, we get inspired. Everybody relate to that? Maybe everybody hears something today you were a little bit inspired by. If you could, in the chat room, I'd like to just spend a few minutes here with this because we're not going to have time for report outs. But if you could, maybe in the chat room, just what's one thing that you can take with you and you can actually put into motion after going through this process today and being with us today? What is something that you can put into motion after being here with us today, something that you feel in your heart and you feel compelled to do? Yeah, and just go ahead and take a moment to place whatever that thing might be into the chat. And I really appreciate each and every one of you. Appreciate you taking the time to do that. Nice, some answers coming in, more awareness on a higher level. I see round hierarchy into circular community. Beautiful. Suzanne King, believe the future can bring changes. Embody hope. Deborah Meehan, one of my favorite people in the world. Leadership must be authentic. That's right. Heart driven. Continue to support all that you're doing. MSP, Kelly Taylor, thank you so much. Gary, hope is what I get from today. Thank you. Harry and Patricia, love, change, and hope. Three beautiful, beautiful words. I think we've heard a few times today. Robert, highlight this as an example of the positive in international forums. That's right. And Olivia, facilitate a conversation with Warden and the Commissioner to bring art into Maine prisons. Beautiful. NVC, nonviolent communication, is something we all need. And thank you for bringing that up. one of the workshops that we have planned here in the next few months is going to be an NVC workshop, Harry. So thank you. Kelly has been supporting me in my work for years. Leo, Kelly's a beautiful soul. Doug Dunbar, much love and respect for you for the work that you're doing with MPRN. No need to read this one, but I'm reading it anyway. But today reminded me to talk with the Commissioner Liberty about putting more changes into Maine law. I love it. And Doug, I just want to acknowledge you for a minute. Doug goes above and beyond to support all of us here in the system of mass incarceration with his work with a reentry network. And I think that's probably a network that we need to host on one of these exchanges for other systems to learn from, because there's a lot of questions about reentry here in Maine. And finally, one more. Harry Gates, what a beautiful way to end. If not now, then when? So folks, thank you very much for being here and joining us. I will send out to you a follow-up enrollment, a follow-up post-enrollment email with everything we went through today. You'll have an opportunity to review the recording. I'll also send out some leadership forms for the next event with Chris Perrin. If you'd like to step up and serve in a leadership role, we would really love that. And in addition, I'd just like to give you an opportunity now to just unmute yourselves and maybe just say thank you to each and every person that arrived today here at the Exchange.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. This
Thank
was
you.
awesome.
Thank you so much.
Really well. Thank you.
Steve and Leo.
Thank you for the invitation,
Thanks,
Carla.
Steve.
Thank you,
Yes.
everybody.
Thank
Great
you.
job, Steve. Great
Jessica,
job.
thank you.
Mary.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Stephen and Leo, you get an A for the day.
Steven, you could
Yes.
smile a
I'll
little
take
bit,
it.
a little bit wider.
Enjoy your Chinese food.
Doug, did you get
Making
your
me
soy
hungry right
sauce?
now.
Happy
Cheers.
Lunar New Year, a few days early.
Happy Lunar New Year. We need that. We need that Luna energy, don't we? Lots of love to each and every one of you. May you all be blessed. May we be happy. May we be safe. And may we all be at peace moving forward in any and everything that we may be doing, those we serve, with our families and with ourselves, and our own personal self-care. So thank you all. Wishing you all a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Ezra.
Good night. I love you. Nice to see your pretty face, Miss Kelly.
And I love you, my dear sister.
Love you, baby bro.
Yeah, my
Stay
dear
wonderful.
Kelly. Yes. Both in one
Cheers,
place.
cheers. The
Love it.
gang's all here.
Bye. Have a good one. Eat lots of food. Very
Thank you. Oh, and love the mother. Hear you there too, huh?
No, mom's upstairs. She can't handle Zoom meetings, man. She popped in, saw your pretty face, said to send love. She bounced.
Well, carry that with you upstairs to her.
I'll take her a fresh hug.
Bill Helping, I see you, my friend. I see you. Thank you for being here. I think you just got off. Raj, thank you for being here with us.